The Clone Wars. 3 words that sound noble, historic, epic. But what if the war wasn't really a war at all? What if it was the galaxy's biggest illusion? A conflict designed not to decide who was right, but to ensure that no one ever would be again. Every hero, every soldier, every sacrifice, they were all part of the same trap. The clones fought for freedom, the Jedi fought for peace, and the politicians fought for power. But the only person who truly won was the man who started it. A war fought on both sides of his chessboard. It's the most brilliant deception in Star Wars history. A war where the good guys and bad guys were funded by the same source, where the victories only served the villain, and where every battle pushed the galaxy one step closer to dictatorship. The clones weren't warriors, they were props. The Jedi weren't generals, they were scapegoats. And the Republic wasn't defending itself, it was dissolving quietly, applauded by citizens who thought they were watching history instead of manipulation. What makes the Clone Wars so haunting isn't how they ended, it's how well they worked. They proved that control doesn't require fear, it just requires confusion. In this video, we'll explore how the Clone Wars were never really about the clones, how Palpatine used both armies to destroy faith in freedom itself, and why this war remains the greatest act of manipulation in Star Wars history. The Clone Wars looked like a war for the soul of the Republic, but it was really a stage play written by one man. Every explosion, every battle, every casualty was part of a carefully scripted illusion. The Jedi thought they were fighting for peace. The clones thought they were fighting for freedom, but Palpatine was fighting for neither. He was fighting for control. From the outside, the war seemed simple. Republic versus separatists. Good versus evil. But peel back the curtain, and it all falls apart. The separatists were funded by the same man leading the Republic. The droid factories and the clone facilities were 2 sides of the same coin, minted by a Sith Lord with infinite patience. The entire galaxy was trapped in a conflict where both outcomes led to tyranny. The brilliance of Palpatine's plan wasn't in how it destroyed his enemies, it's in how it made them destroy themselves. The Jedi willingly became generals, the Senate willingly handed over emergency powers, and the clones willingly fought a war that was engineered to erase them afterward. It wasn't a battle for survival, it was a demonstration of obedience. The clones were never meant to win, they were meant to justify the Jedi's fall. Each campaign made the Order look more like soldiers and less like monks. Each victory blurred the line between protection and domination. By the time the Republic became the Empire, no one questioned it, because everyone had been conditioned to see control as order. It's the greatest long con in galactic history. The Jedi believed they were saving the Republic, but the Republic was already dead. Palpatine didn't destroy democracy, he exhausted it. He made it beg for structure, for command, for the illusion of stability. And when he offered that, people applauded. Even the title, Clone Wars, hides the truth. It makes you focus on the soldiers, not the system. It suggests equality between sides, as if both had agency. But in reality, the clones were born to die, and the droids were built to lose. It was a war without ideology, without stakes, without freedom. Just mass production versus mass obedience. You can see that manipulation clearly in the faces of the Jedi. They keep asking questions that have no answers. Why was the clone army ordered before the war began? Why does the Senate never question the cost? Why do they feel more like pawns than peacekeepers? And yet, none of them connect the dots until it's too late. The brilliance of the Clone Wars series is that it lets you feel the illusion. It shows the camaraderie, the heroism, the brotherhood, and makes you forget that all of it is doomed. It's not propaganda for the Republic, it's tragedy, disguised as adventure. The Clone Wars weren't about victory, they were about transformation. The Republic wasn't defending itself, it was becoming something new. And the clones? They were the paintbrush Palpatine used to draw the shape of an empire. The Jedi didn't lose the Clone Wars on the battlefield, they lost it in the boardroom. Their failure wasn't military, it was moral. When they chose to lead armies instead of question their existence, they handed the Sith everything they needed. The Order that once preached peace had become an accessory to genocide, and they never even noticed. From the start, the Jedi were out of place in this war. They were philosophers turned soldiers, guardians of life commanding an army of engineered lives. And instead of rejecting that contradiction, they rationalized it. "We serve the Republic," they said, as if obedience was the same as morality. That's not wisdom, it's delusion. Their arrogance blinded them to the truth sitting right in front of them. The clone army appeared from nowhere, perfectly loyal, perfectly convenient. No Jedi ever stopped to ask why. They accepted a miracle army because it made their lives easier, not because it made sense. That's not faith in the Force, it's faith in convenience. Palpatine didn't just outsmart them, he made them betray themselves. Every decision the Council made, every strategy they endorsed, every soldier they led into battle, it all dug their own graves deeper. The war didn't corrupt the Jedi, it revealed that they were already compromised. You can feel it in moments like the Clone Wars episode, The Wrong Jedi, when Ahsoka is accused of treason. The Council abandons her without hesitation because their fear of losing authority outweighs their sense of justice. That's not the Jedi falling from grace. That's the mask cracking open to show what they've become. Even characters like Mace Windu show the rot underneath the robes. His loyalty to the Republic outweighs his compassion for people. When he calls the Chancellor a dangerous politician and still obeys him, it shows that the Jedi no longer serve the Force. They serve the system. They're bureaucrats with lightsabers. And the saddest part is that the Jedi genuinely thought they were doing the right thing. They saw themselves as reluctant warriors, noble leaders in a necessary evil. But every choice they made fed the dark side. Every compromise turned peace into politics. By the time they realized what was happening, they weren't saving the Republic, they were protecting its corpse. The war ended the day the Jedi started fighting it. They traded faith for fear, compassion for control, enlightenment for efficiency. That's why Order 66 hit so hard. It's not the moment they fell, it's the moment their delusion ended. The Jedi didn't lose because they were weak. They lost because they were righteous. And righteousness, when unchecked, becomes the easiest thing in the galaxy to manipulate. When the Clone Wars ended, the galaxy didn't cheer. It exhaled. The Republic was gone, the Jedi were gone, and the clones, the very soldiers who won, were already obsolete. That's how Palpatine's masterpiece came full circle. He created a war that destroyed everyone except him. The perfect conflict, profitable, self-perpetuating, and disposable. The clones were never villains, but they were never heroes either. They were victims, designed to serve, conditioned to obey, and erased when no longer useful. Their loyalty wasn't a virtue, it was programming. And when that programming flipped, they didn't hesitate. It's not that they lacked morality, it's that morality was never part of their design. The tragedy of the clones is that they believed they mattered. They gave themselves names, painted their armour, built identities out of fragments of freedom. And yet, no matter how human they became, the galaxy never saw them as anything but numbers. The war gave them purpose, but only long enough to justify their extinction. After the war, there was no rehabilitation, no reintegration, no gratitude. The clones who survived were cast aside like broken machinery. Some became mercenaries, others hermits, and many simply vanished into obscurity. The very soldiers who fought to preserve the Republic became living proof of its hypocrisy. Palpatine's plan worked because it didn't require lies. It required half-truths. Every side thought they were right. Every soldier thought they were fighting for peace. The Republic's propaganda machine didn't need to brainwash anyone. It just needed to let them believe what they wanted to. That's what makes it terrifying. It's not evil through force, it's evil through logic. Even the galaxy's culture changed. By the time of the Empire, the idea of the Jedi as peacekeepers was forgotten. They were painted as traitors, while the clones who carried out their execution became anonymous stormtroopers. The war didn't just rewrite history, it rewired memory. The truth was erased not by censorship, but by exhaustion. What makes the Clone Wars haunting is that no one truly won. The Jedi lost their soul, the clones lost their humanity, and the galaxy lost its hope. The only victory belonged to Palpatine, and even he didn't celebrate, because victory was never the goal. Control was. The prequels make that point beautifully. by showing us both sides. Every speech about loyalty, every mission about peace, every moment of heroism, all built on a foundation of manipulation. The entire war is a lesson in how good intentions can be weaponized when truth is buried under bureaucracy. The Clone Wars wasn't about sides, it was about systems. It was proof that the galaxy didn't need the Sith to fall, it only needed a little push from someone patient enough to exploit its blind spots. The war ended with silence, not triumph. Because you can't celebrate a victory. That was never real to begin with.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. My main channel is Critical Analysis Hub, where I post Star Wars content about the movies. My secondary channel is Critical Analysis Hub Plus, where I focus on the shows of Star Wars. And my third channel is Critical Analysis Hub XP, where I post comic books. Be sure to take a moment and check them out. Thanks, and may the Force be with you.